Before the video begins, I'd like to give a shout out and thank you to the people on screen for supporting me on Patreon. Enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to a special part of Sega GT Part 8.1. Now, I mentioned in Part 8, if you haven't watched that, go back and quickly check that video out, that, and I even mentioned it earlier during the LP as well, in like Part 4 and whatnot, that one of the cars was replaced from the North American to the European version for the driver's test and Works Cup for the SA class. That, in particular, was Rally Art. Now, of course, Mitsubishi is quite a prominent manufacturer in the game, with an entry in the extra class, known as the entry class in the Japanese version, as I found out, the B class and the A class. You know, you have the Topo, the Mirage, and the Lancer Evolution. In the European version, I guess to make it a bit more recognizable, or just to kind of expand upon the roster, they decided to replace Rally Art with Renault Sport to have a Clio Trophy, which, well, if you've seen Part 8, you would know what I particularly think of that car. But I thought just to kind of give a little bit of a bonus, I thought I'd make this kind of bonus part to show off what exactly the Mitsubishi GTO is like, and what the works car that you can unlock is like. So this part will just be covering both the driver's test and a Works Cup race with it. So yeah, as shown here, the Rally Art with the Mitsubishi GTO Twin Turbo. The track is still exactly the same as the one you use with this Clio, which is Night Section B. But as you can see, of course, the times have been adjusted so that they are more representative to that of the Clio, or of the Clio, excuse me, of the GTO. I'm already getting my words all confused. And honestly, it is kind of a shame that they switched it, because if they had just left alone, that you could have had potentially one of the most interesting vehicles for it, because the GTO is, in my opinion, at least one of the best vehicles in this game. It drives super nicely, very, very, very quick, has a lot of power, and the handling is very balanced, it's very controllable, very, very nice. But for the sake of showing it off anyways, for this version, not just for that sake of completion, I'll just bounce off the wall there a bit, because gets me in the right angle. It's such a sneak cheat way to do it, but it works. You might also notice that some of the banners are a little bit different, mostly because, like I said, the European version added some cars, so like Renault and Peugeot and Alfa Romeo and Mercedes-Benz and whatnot. Those are cars that were added to the PAL version of the game that are not in this version. But as you can see there, it's just driver's test is very easy. I had to beat like a 117 there, and I did a 114.6. And I did kind of just skip a whole bunch of other cars just to show this one off, simply because, well, not really any point in having to do them all again if the whole point of the video is just to show this particular car and its Works Cup. Now, I believe I should just be able to enter it. Yep. So go to Rally Art, and, well, as you see, rather than a Clio, it's now a GTO, which, well, you would make sense, because the Lancer was already used for Stage 5, and because this is a GTO, it has twin turbo in the name, you of course can put some turbos into it, which with level 7 puts it to 618 horsepower with 492 pound-feet of torque. Now I'm going to stick with hard tires, because apparently it just seems to be better, and I'll still put all the downforce on it, and I won't really worry about with qualifying or anything. We'll just jump right into the race, and we'll see not only what the Works Cup GTO looks like, but get an idea of exactly how well it performs. So yeah, as you can see here, the Rally Art GTO is pretty much, again, very representative of all the other styles of GTO, all the other work style vehicles they have. It's got that that red, white, and black scheme that was similar to the Evo 5 WRC in real life. But what you'll also notice is this thing hauls off the line very fast. It's incredibly easy to get this car in the first place, and also very easy to keep it in first place. It also, just like the Clio, has 7 gears too, which is also very interesting. But yeah, you can kind of see that it still doesn't quite get the same kind of top end that you see in the likes of the Supra and the what's the other one? I think the NSX. But it's such a well balanced and well controlled vehicle that it really doesn't matter. Like, this is honestly one of the nicest driving vehicles that you could get from this. Now, I don't know how exactly, because I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't exactly remember how this car handles with soft tires, but I suspect it would still be pretty good regardless. But of course, it's hard because apparently just seems to give more control for some weird for some very strange reason. It's also quite a note that the 7th gear on this car is actually somewhat useful, because it doesn't actually lose all of its RPM because of it being like too high a gear or something. Oh boy. But yeah, like, honestly, oh god, not a bad bounce off there. It's honestly like a real shame though that this car was removed. Well, not technically removed, it was just replaced in favor of that pretty awful Clio. Like, it would have just been nicer if they decided to keep the GTO, because this thing is such a nicer vehicle to drive. And you know, it's one of the easiest one. It would be if you're someone who's not particularly the best at handling the vehicles in this game due to this game's odd handling system. This one would have been one of the easier ones to get, because it not only is the license does it drive very well, but it seems to drive fairly well here too. You just kind of have to keep note of it. It does. I would say it does kind of understeer, and it probably wouldn't really understeer as much if I had had some soft tires on it. But again, just to see how it would do. 165. Okay, it's better to at least keep it in 6th here for that little area there. There you go. 43,722. This thing does go very fast. In fact, I'm going so fast that I'm gonna lap someone here. I might even lap 2 cars actually too. That's just how good it's going. Yep, I'm about to lap the Impreza here, that's back here, as well as the RX-7. And goodbye. And with that covers a run of this with the GTO. 43,156 on that final lap, so if I didn't hit the wall a little bit, it would have been a sub 43, and a 3:47 to finish this one. This car is very, very excellent. So of course you would get your usual 20,000, and you would get the GTO as a works car. How exactly does it hold up stats-wise? Well, if you go into... Whoops, I didn't mean to go back into that. If you go into here, you see, again, 618 horsepower, 490, it says 491, in the thing it said 492 pound-feet of torque. Interestingly enough, the statistics screen on here appears to be different. I get a suspicion that they might have changed it around for the European version. But yeah, 2,742 pounds. It is, I think, the heaviest, obviously, because the GTO was always a fairly heavy vehicle. But it's still a very excellent vehicle, and it's a damn shame that we can't access it in the European version. They didn't remove it from the files, and you can technically still get it if you decide to kind of edit a save file around, but you can't just, unfortunately, you can't just trade it because of the way that it works, due to the way that all works. So I do want to actually just quickly show something off. Now, I'm just for the sake of the fact that I did this, I'm gonna like save this. There we go. And I want to go to the car trade. I want to just show something interesting. So, okay, so go to the trade on the first memory card here. I have of course my European save. Now all the vehicles do show up for the most part as normal, So, like, you know, the one car I can trade over, my Impreza WRX Type R tuned by STI, that is still usable and stuff. But of course, you can obviously see that works vehicles are grayed out. Now a lot of me, I wish there was a way to kind of cheat the game into being able to go into it. But as far as I know, I don't think there is any way. But what I wanted to show off was at the very end here. Now, of course, this should be the Clio Trophy, but, well, the Clio doesn't exist in the North American version of the game. So what happens is, it for some reason, uses the Subaru Plio, the E-Class Plio, as just a placeholder vehicle. The background is overly red, for some reason, more red than usual. And it has dash horsepower, displacement at 0cc, and the driving system, which is basically the drivetrain, is apparently X. What is What is an X drivetrain? Can someone please explain this? And also Toyota Plio RS? I thought this was supposed to be a Subaru. Basically, yeah. The Clio does not exist in any way whatsoever in the North American version, and that's what happens when you show it off like that, which I think is very amusing. But really, apart from that, that's going to be it for this bonus part. Stay tuned for the next one, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button to see when the next video goes up. You can also come support my channel over on Patreon, or follow me on Twitter and Twitch, all of which is in the description box down below. I will see you all on the next one.